right. If there's anything that can be said about being a DC fan, at least we live in a time where news is constantly being filtered, or actually unfiltered at that, and it's just never ending reports and scoops and leaks and rumors, as if DC could not get any crazier than it already has these past couple of years. It got wild yesterday. I'm not delivering you any breaking news because the news has already broke. I'm here to give you my take on a lot of what's being said right now, whether or not this stuff is true. I cannot stress enough that James Gunn has stated before that nobody knows what is going on in DC besides him and Safran, whereas that may or may not be true. If there is anybody outside of Gunn who knows what's going on in DC, it's not many people. As so many of you have probably heard, let's count these out. What happened yesterday? Wonder Woman 3 canceled. Black Adam 2 unlikely. Superman, Man of Steel 2 unlikely. With that comes so many different situations. Henry Cavill's return as Superman is now in doubt. Gal Gadot's return as Wonder Woman is now in doubt. Dwayne Johnson's plans within DC is now in doubt. You're also hearing things that Ben Affleck is no longer in Aquaman 2. And we're also hearing things that back in September, Henry Cavill shot a scene as Superman in the Flash film that they are debating even keeping in the final product in general. There are so many articles I could open up right now, from Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, you name it. I'm not going to read an article today. I want to give you my take on what in the world is going on right now. This is what I say. Usually when you get scoops on Twitter or Reddit or wherever you go, you got to take them with a grain of salt. I've explained this in a previous video. People like Casey Walsh, Viewer Anon, My Time to Shine, all these people, even people like Grace Randolph, you got to take these things into consideration of potentially not even being real when they report it. I can't tell you how many times I've seen someone like Casey Walsh make a report on something and then he doubles down on the literal thing he said won't happen, will happen. He's one of the most hypocritical scoopers I've seen. But with that being said, when I start to see a lot of these come out in the Hollywood trades, for example, The Hollywood Reporter, that's when I might not believe every single word you have to say, but I'm gonna believe it a little bit more than I would have before, because clearly they are getting the green light from these studios to allow this article to hit the web. Now, I'm actually very happy I'm deciding to make the video when I'm making it right now. James Gunn just tweeted about this Hollywood Reporter and about all the news that broke out yesterday, and he has a statement about it. I'm gonna read it for you right here. So, as for the story yesterday in the Hollywood Reporter, some of it is true, some of it is half true, some of it is not true, and some of it we haven't decided yet whether it's true or not. Fascinating. Everything about this is just fascinating. I feel like I'm a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do with one if I caught it. So first of all, let's talk about this potential that Man of Steel 2, Black Adam 2 will not be happening, and the fact that Wonder Woman 3 is outright canceled. For Wonder Woman 3, Patty Jenkins has been getting dumped on in this Hollywood industry as of lately. Wonder Woman 84 was not that good. Wonder Woman 3 is now getting canceled, and her Star Wars Squadron movie that they literally made a teaser trailer for at one of the Star Wars celebrations, it's not happening either. Nothing she has had her hands on recently is moving forward and working for her. I kind of feel bad for her. But then let's take into consideration what Gal Gadot had to say about this. She has this post on Twitter here that I'm going to read, and I believe she has it on Instagram as well, where it states, "A few years ago, it was announced that I was going to play Wonder Woman. I've been so grateful for the opportunity to play such an incredible, iconic character, and more than anything, I'm grateful for you, the fans. Can't wait to share her next chapter with you. Half of that feels like a farewell, and half of that feels like anticipation for her continuation as the Princess of Themyscira. Let's also take into consideration that this was posted 2 days ago, just before Wonder Woman 3 was canceled. And from what I've heard, James Gunn actually liked that tweet. I don't know how accurate that is. Now, I also heard things that Pamela Abdy and Michael DeLuca actually told Patty Jenkins that they would allow her to rewrite the script, which the original script was co-written by her and Jeff Johns. Huge mistake on that part, getting Jeff Johns involved. When proposed with the rewrite, apparently she just said no. She wasn't interested in doing it. So it looks like her Wonder Woman trilogy will never have mounted out to being a trilogy in the first place. Now let's take a look at The Rock and Black Adam. He has been going on this false positivity streak on Twitter, talking about how thank you so much for the support of Black Adam. I have just gotten word from financiers that this film is going to profit anywhere from $52 million to $75 million. Woo! Who cares? The movie failed. It is as simple as that. I have supported The Rock moving into this movie and even afterwards. I've even made a video talking about could he potentially have been the savior of DC. And whereas I think my points stand out about The Rock being a hype man, he can be almost a vessel that us fans can run through, which will show DC Studios what we want. Whereas I think that works. When it comes to the success of Black Adam, it did not work at all. Whether you like that movie or not, because for me, I enjoyed it, the movie is a failure. A Deadline article came out yesterday or the day before talking about the Black Adam sequel and the fact that the studio was in the works of potentially making a Hawkman spin-off, and just a couple of hours later in that same article, those two plot points are stripped from the article. So no more are they talking about a Black Adam sequel and a Hawkman spin-off. And then let's look at the heaviest hitter, Superman. Man of Steel 2 apparently right now is unlikely, or from what I'm actually more accurately hearing, paused. Now, originally I was thinking to myself, this might be a play on words. This might just simply be a situation where, yeah, a Man of Steel 2 is not happening because Zack Snyder's universe is no longer moving forward. Why would we call it a Man of Steel 2, a sequel to the first Man of Steel? No, a new Superman film would simply just be called Superman or The Man of Tomorrow or whatever it might be. It'll be the beginning of a new trilogy for the Superman character, but when I've read these articles, when I've listened to what some other YouTubers have said about this, when I'm looking at the audience's reaction to this news, one has to wonder if Henry Cavill's portrayal of Superman is once again in jeopardy. How many times can we do this? How many times can we go down this same path of Henry Cavill potentially or potentially not coming back as Superman? This is actually crazy. I got so many thoughts. I don't know where to go with it, but I'm trying my best. I have been a very big advocate of the Warner Brothers DC studio listening to what the fans want, and the fans had to literally do everything they possibly could just to grab the head of Warner Brothers and say, hey, look at me. Okay, we're trying to tell you what we want. Now, I see a lot of people getting very angry at James Gunn and calling for James Gunn to be fired. Let's just take a whole bottle of chill pills, okay? We gotta relax here for a second. Because as much as I am an advocate of the audience speaking out and telling studios what we want, I don't think that same method could have been used towards James Gunn, considering James Gunn has a trustworthy path of creating good stories and creatives for things in, say, Marvel and even what he did in DC. Even though his Suicide Squad movie did not do well in the theaters and Peacemaker was not streamed well, and I still see a lot of people who actually have a hard time thinking Peacemaker streamed well. It didn't. It streamed less than even Miss Marvel on Disney, but they're good. So I think we have a level of trust in James Gunn that he's going to make good projects. The same method of speaking out to a studio and calling for things that we want will not work on James Gunn because it's not needed there. I'm starting to think that there was actually a little bit of a power grab going on in DC. That at one point, I thought James Gunn and maybe Dwayne Johnson were on the same page with one another. Maybe they had a mutual understanding. But now the way I'm seeing it is before James Gunn officially took over as CEO, I wonder if Dwayne Johnson was making a push for that CEO position. Like I said, Dwayne Johnson is a hype man. He's constantly on social media talking this big game and getting people excited for things that he talks about, because in turn it'll make the studios look at this audience and be like, oh my god, look at what The Rock has conjured right now. He's conjured up a massive group of supporting fans for his cause. And then when you look at Henry Cavill, one has to wonder if what he did was a little premature. Coming on Instagram a day after the Black Adam released, talking about how, hey, yeah, I'm coming back as Superman full time. The fact that the guy quit The Witcher. Now, there's a lot more going on in The Witcher's production than meets the eye. It's not just the fact that he's leaving it for Superman. I think there's a lot more narrative issues going on within The Witcher right now that he had an issue with. But the guy literally left The Witcher big part to be coming back as Superman. Was he too soon to speak out? I would feel so terrible if Henry Cavill did not show up as Superman, but maybe they should have just kept their mouths shut before things actually started to move forward in James Gunn's direction. Now let's talk about Jason Momoa. I made a video a couple of weeks ago talking about my theories on why Jason Momoa could potentially be so excited, and one of the theories was, could he potentially be playing Lobo in the new DCU? And I stand by this. I think Jason Momoa would be perfect casting for the Lobo character, but I gotta say, who cares? Lobo is not a character I need in the DCU, and if he shows up in the DCU, I don't see his appearance lasting more than 2 movies. He might show up as a side villain in a Superman film, but that's just about it. I don't know what you could do with the Lobo character. Then again, James Gunn is out here making a Peacemaker television series. They could do the same thing with Lobo. I guess that works, but I don't know why an announcement like that would be so prestigious unless Jason Momoa himself has always wanted to portray that character. Now, there have been talks about Aquaman being a trilogy, and at one point I said to myself, yeah, that's definitely gonna happen. Yeah, I don't know about that anymore. I might be wrong on that take. Apparently Aquaman 2 does end on a cliffhanger, but I don't think it matters anymore, because once James Gunn's plan comes into fruition, all these movies coming out right now, it won't matter what story they were trying to set up. Let's go with this rumor and let's say that Jason Momoa is actually going to become Lobo in the new DCU. Realize this for a moment here, that this is where DC currently is. The fact that Jason Momoa plays Aquaman, and Aquaman made the most profit of any DC film of all time, and this guy is more excited about knowing he's going to play Lobo in the future of DC than he is excited about his future as Aquaman. That's the state we're in DC right now. That actors are literally more excited to play another character than the character they're playing right now. Like, what? And then what's going on with all these cameos and these appearances and these cutscenes? Michael Keaton is no longer in the Aquaman film. Ben Affleck has shot his scenes for the Aquaman film, but is no longer in the Aquaman film either. Apparently, the screening they had a couple days ago, he wasn't in the film. They stripped it. Henry Cavill filmed scenes in September for the Flash film, and now the studio is apparently debating whether or not they want to keep that scene in the movie. I wish I knew James Gunn, so I just had information. Even if I couldn't say it here, I just wish I knew. I wish, because this is so crazy. This is so wild. Not even 2 days ago, we were all expecting, yeah, when we see Aquaman, we're going to see Ben Affleck in the film. It's going to happen. Yeah, when we see The Flash, we'll see Henry Cavill, come back as Superman, even if it's brief. We're going to see this stuff. Yeah, I don't know anymore. I don't think this is happening. And what do I say in my videos all the time? Studios like this, they change their minds every single day. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised that a lot of these decisions are coming down to, yeah, we're not doing this, or yeah, we're not doing this. Actually, we're going to go do this. I think it's just the manner that it's hitting all of us is a huge shock. And once again, I think it is the confusion. It is not knowing which of these are definitively true and what Gunn's plan is moving forward. Because once we have his plan, we'll be able to be a little more stable with our footing on the ground and say, yeah, this is what is going to happen from here on out. As of right now, the only universe that James Gunn doesn't really seem to be touching right now is Matt Reeves' universe for the Batman, and I guess even Todd Phillips' Joker film. But that Todd Phillips Joker stuff seems so far gone from DC that, like, if you weren't a huge fan of superheroes or DC comics, you might not even realize that is a DC label. With the Batman, we're obviously expecting a Batman sequel, and they're even moving forward with the HBO Max series shows right now with the Penguin and potentially the Arkham Asylum show. I've also heard things too, don't know how true this is, but after James Gunn got the job of CEO of DC, one of his first conversations was actually with Matt Reeves about Batman. When I look at this situation, before you're thinking to yourself, this is just going to be a soft reboot. It's going to return all the original cast members, the story's just going to change. I don't know what other conclusion you can come to right now about this universe being rebooted. Like, it's just as simple as that. There is no longer a definitive answer on who will be returning. We don't even know if Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot will be returning respectively as Superman and Wonder Woman. We don't even know if Jason Momoa is going to be playing the same DC character in the future. How crazy would it be if James Gunn came out here and said, yeah, you know what? I am canning every single one of these creatives' movies. You can release your movie all you want, but it is done after this. But everything I've created is staying. How wild would that be? That would make people so angry if he just kept everything he made, but then spit on everything that came before or even comes next year. I don't think he would do that, but it's just wild to speculate and think about. I think at this point, though, realistically, James Gunn is even considering killing some of his stuff, tearing down some of the things that he either created or wanted to create and replacing them with this new DC 10-year plan. I'm at this point right now where I actually just hope they write off their future films the way they did with Batgirl. I don't care if the Flash film is $300 million. Who cares about this movie? The Flash, Aquaman 2, done. I do not care about these films, as I'm sure a lot of people don't care either. Whatever The Flash was setting up for, whatever Aquaman might be setting up for, James Gunn's plan comes into play next December. So will those movies even matter anymore? No, probably not. I'm more excited about Jason Momoa potentially playing Lobo than I am the Flash film. In these articles too, I saw them talking about how, yeah, well, DC still has movies on the way. We got a big hitting film in Shazam and Blue Beetle. Really? Are you serious right now? Shazam and Blue Beetle. If Black Adam couldn't even cross 400 million, I'm not saying Shazam and Blue Beetle won't beat Black Adam, but what could they potentially do to up the profit for DC and Warner Brothers? Black Adam may have worked in a world where the DC universe was fleshed out the way Marvel was. If that were the case, yeah, Black Adam is probably gonna hit 800 million to $1 billion worldwide. It probably would have worked at that point. But right now, it makes no sense. It's unneeded. It's useless. As much as I did enjoy the Black Adam film, there really is no point in having his own movie when you can't even have a solid standing on Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. So whether this is a full-on reboot or a soft reboot in the sense that the story is changing, but some of the original actors are coming back, is to be decided clearly and to be announced. We still don't know. But let's look at the original members on who would be coming back. Henry Cavill, we all want him back. How crazy would this be if James Gunn just came out and said, yeah, no, he's not returning? Heartbreaking. Not just heartbreaking for us, heartbreaking for him. Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, things have been so quiet with Wonder Woman other than this cancellation of Wonder Woman 3. I don't know what the plan is with Gal herself. I would be a-okay with her coming back, but if they decided to recast, I also wouldn't be completely surprised. As much as I like Ben Affleck, as much as I have advocated for his return and have even given you theories and ideas on how I would return him as Batman, it is simply not going to happen. Ben Affleck is done as Batman. They're gonna have to look elsewhere. If I'm wrong about that, great, cool. I will gladly be wrong, but I don't think I am. Ezra Miller's Flash, he's gone, bro. Jason Momoa, is he gonna be Aquaman or is he gonna be Lobo? I don't know. I don't think anyone knows, but he is the most likely to be staying out of anybody here. Even too, you gotta think, what about Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn? James Gunn has worked with Margot Robbie in the Suicide Squad film. James Gunn and Margot Robbie's relationship is probably really healthy too. I don't know if he's gonna recast that character. I even believe that Margot Robbie is here for the future, but even within saying that, it's like, will that change? Who knows? Things seem to be so up in the air right now. There is no confirmation. The more I think about this, I'm starting to think that a DCU being based out of the Batman from Matt Reeves is the most likely possibility. And everything within there will be created by James Gunn, where then Matt Reeves has complete control of Gotham City. I think this is now the most likely scenario. And whether or not James Gunn takes Henry Cavill, takes Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa and brings them over to this new dimension where they are playing their respective characters, or if he just completely recasts the Justice League, that is to be seen. I think if you just give Matt Reeves Gotham City, he's capable of making his Batman movies and his side projects on HBO Max, and then every now and then James Gunn and other directors are capable of plucking Batman and bringing him into Justice League films or cameo appearances or side character appearances in other films, I think it would work just fine. But anything I say here is pure speculation. It is still just me theorizing. This was wild. I don't know. This is wild. Before I end this video, apparently there was more to James Gunn's tweet, and I'm going to read it for you right now. As for the story yesterday in the Hollywood Reporter, some of it is true, some of it is half true, some of it is not true, and some of it we haven't decided yet whether it's true or not. Although this first month at DC has been fruitful, building the next 10 years of story takes time, and we're still just beginning. Peter and I chose to helm DC Studios knowing we were coming into a fictitious environment, both in the stories being told and in the audience itself, and there would be an unavoidable transitional period as we moved into telling a cohesive story across film, television, animation, and gaming. So, I mean, at least he knows there are factions within DC, but he also knows that he might not be able to appease everyone. He might not be able to give everybody what they want. And I mean, some of us should be used to this by now. I mean, for fans of Zack Snyder, we didn't get what we wanted. So, you know, we gotta suck it up sometimes. It sucks, but you gotta do it. But in the end, the drawbacks of that transitional period were dwarfed by the creative possibilities and the opportunity to build upon what has worked in DC so far and to help rectify what has not. We know we are not going to make every single person happy every step of the way, exactly. But we can promise everything we do is done in the service of the story and in the service of the DC characters we know you cherish and and we have cherished our whole lives. As for more answers about the future of the DCU, I will sadly have to ask you to wait. We are giving these characters and the stories the time and attention they deserve, and we ourselves still have a lot more questions to ask and answer. It looks like everything we have read so far in these articles may not be true, but they have certainly been considered. The only thing that I believe is confirmed right now, completely true, is the Wonder Woman 3 cancellation. Just as you think DC cannot get any crazier, it continues to do so. And once again, until we get James Gunn's 10-year plan, that is when things will start to clear up. So as he said, we will just have to wait. Guys, let me know in the comments down below what you think of this entire situation and what you think is going on. And as per usual, let me know what you personally hope happens. But until next time, everyone, that's it for this video, and I will talk to you all very soon. Just absolutely insane.